Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because the NFL world has just been turned upside down. It's a random day in June, but it feels like the Super Bowl of trade news has just kicked off. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Miami Dolphins have dropped a bombshell, executing a blockbuster trade that's sending shockwaves across the league. This isn't just any trade. It's the kind of jaw-dropping, phone-buzzing, group chat exploding move that makes you question everything you thought you knew about the NFL offseason. We're talking big names, massive contracts, draft pick swaps, and a whirlwind of chaos that's got every football fan glued to their screens. Let's dive into this madness and break it all down for you, because this is the kind of news that demands your full attention. Picture this: just hours ago, reports started trickling in about a potential deal between the Steelers and the Dolphins. At first, it seemed like a straightforward swap, with whispers of Jalen Ramsey heading to Pittsburgh. But then, like a plot twist in a Hollywood thriller, the details exploded into something far bigger. The trade, now finalized, is a full-on blockbuster. The Miami Dolphins are getting all-pro safety Minkah Fitzpatrick, along with a fifth-round draft pick in 2027. In return, the Pittsburgh Steelers are landing superstar cornerback Jalen Ramsey, tight end Jonnu Smith, and a seventh-round pick in 2027. Yes, you heard that right. This trade involves some of the biggest names in the game, and it's shaking up the NFL like nothing we've seen in a June offseason before. Let's start with the headliners. Minkah Fitzpatrick, one of the most versatile and dominant safeties in the league, is headed back to Miami, where he began his career. This move is shocking for a number of reasons. Fitzpatrick was a cornerstone of the Steelers' defense, a player who seemed untouchable just yesterday. His ability to play multiple roles, free safety, strong safety, slot corner, made him a defensive coordinator's dream. For the Dolphins, bringing Fitzpatrick back feels like a homecoming, but it's also a bold statement. Miami's defense, already a force, now gets an elite playmaker who can lock down the back end and create turnovers. The addition of a fifth-round pick in 2027 is a nice bonus, but let's be real, Minkah is the centerpiece of this deal for Miami. On the other side, the Steelers are walking away with Jalen Ramsey, arguably the best cornerback in the NFL when he's at his peak. Ramsey's ability to shut down top receivers and change the complexion of a game is unmatched. But here's where things get wild. Ramsey didn't just get traded, he somehow managed to negotiate a pay raise in the process. That's right, folks. In the middle of this chaotic trade, Ramsey secured an extra $1.5 million in compensation, with some of his incentives now guaranteed. This is the kind of move that deserves a standing ovation. Very few players have the leverage to pull off something like this during a trade, but Ramsey's elite-level hustle is on full display. His contract was already massive, but now it's even bigger, making him one of the highest-paid defensive backs in the league. Then there's Jonnu Smith, the tight end who's also packing his bags for Pittsburgh. Smith signed a one-year, $12 million deal with the Steelers as part of this trade, adding another layer of intrigue. He's a versatile, tight end who can block, catch, and create mismatches in the passing game. For a Steelers team looking to bolster its offense, Smith is a perfect fit. The seventh-round pick they're getting in 2027 is essentially a cherry on top of this deal, but it shows how both teams were willing to throw everything into the pot to make this trade happen. Now, let's talk about how this deal came together, because the behind-the-scenes drama is almost as wild as the trade itself. Early reports suggested it was just Ramsey heading to Pittsburgh, which was enough to raise eyebrows. Then, the rumor mill kicked into overdrive, with Minkah Fitzpatrick's name entering the conversation. Before anyone could process that, Jonnu Smith's name popped up, and suddenly, it was a full-blown package deal. The speed at which this trade evolved was almost comical. It went from a simple one, for one swap, to a multiplayer, multi-pick blockbuster in a matter of hours. If you were refreshing your X feed or checking ESPN this morning, you probably felt like you were watching an NBA free agency frenzy, not an NFL offseason move. This is the kind of chaos that makes June feel like July in the basketball world, and it's got every NFL fan buzzing. So, what does this mean for the rest of the league? Let's zoom in on the Dallas Cowboys, because their perspective on this trade is particularly interesting. For Cowboys fans, the immediate takeaway is that Jalen Ramsey is officially off the market. Let's be honest, Ramsey was never a realistic target for Dallas. His contract, even before the pay raise, was too hefty for the Cowboys' salary cap situation. Adding another $1.5 million to his deal only makes that clearer. But the ripple effects of this trade go far beyond Ramsey's contract. The Cowboys have a history with Minkah Fitzpatrick, having shown interest in him when he was first made available by the Dolphins a few years ago. Back then, Dallas put together an offer, but it wasn't even close to what Pittsburgh ultimately paid to acquire him. Seeing Fitzpatrick included in this trade is a bit of a gut punch for Cowboys fans who remember what could have been. At the time, Fitzpatrick was a young, ascending star with the potential to transform a defense. The Cowboys' defense could have used a player of his caliber, but the price was too steep. Fast forward to today, and Fitzpatrick is still an elite talent, but Dallas was never going to be in the running for him in this deal. The combination of Fitzpatrick, Ramsey, and Smith, along with the draft pick swaps, created a bidding war that priced out most of the league, including the Cowboys. Jonnu Smith's $12 million deal was also out of Dallas's reach, especially for a one-year commitment. In short, this was a blockbuster the Cowboys were never going to be part of, and that's probably a wise decision on their part. Chasing mega deals like this can lead to salary cap nightmares, and Dallas has enough on its plate already. But let's talk about the bigger picture. With Ramsey and Fitzpatrick off the board, the cornerback and safety markets are about to get very interesting. This trade could spark a wave of movement as teams look to bolster their secondaries before training camp. For the Cowboys, the secondary is a major question mark heading into the season. Their depth chart at cornerback feels like a shaky proposition, to put it mildly. Darren Bland is a stud, no question about it. He's going to play a ton, and has proven he can handle top receivers. But behind him, things get murky. Kyvan Elm, who ESPN recently called a surprise breakout candidate, is a young player with potential but still has a lot to prove. If Trayvon Diggs, the Cowboys' star corner, isn't 100% healthy by week 1, the situation gets even dicier. Diggs is coming off a major injury, and while there's optimism about his recovery, there's no guarantee he'll be back to his Pro Bowl form right away. Behind Bland and Elm, the Cowboys are relying on players like Andrew Booth, who has struggled with health and consistency, and Israel Mukuamu, who has shown flashes but only in small sample sizes. Then you've got depth pieces like Troy Pride and Robert Rochelle, who, let's be honest, don't exactly inspire confidence. The whole picture is uncertain enough that a veteran signing feels almost inevitable for Dallas. They can't afford to roll into the season with this much questionability in their secondary, especially in a division as tough as the NFC East. The Cowboys aren't the only team feeling the pressure. This trade is likely to have a domino effect across the league. The Carolina Panthers, who were reportedly interested in Ramsey, now have to pivot to other options. The Green Bay Packers, who moved on from Jaire Alexander, are looking thin at corner. The Las Vegas Raiders and Los Angeles Rams have well-documented depth issues in their secondaries. Even the Los Angeles Chargers could be a dark horse in the cornerback market, as they need a reliable outside presence. And don't sleep on the Dolphins themselves. Ironically, they might need to replace Ramsey with another corner after shipping him out. The Minnesota Vikings have also been linked to the position, and they could make a move before training camp. Beyond Gilmore, there are a few other names worth considering. Mike Hilton is a standout option if the Cowboys want to add a nickel corner. He's got plenty of experience and is known for his physicality against the run, which could complement Bland if Dallas moves him outside. However, there's a red flag. The Cincinnati Bengals were pulling Hilton off the field on critical downs last season, which raises questions about his reliability in big moments. Rasul Douglas is another free agent who's still unsigned and likely waiting for the right opportunity. He's 30 years old and probably wants a chance to start for a contender, but his market seems to be drying up. The Houston Texans could be a factor here, as they've had some injuries in their secondary, but nothing has materialized yet. Then there's Asante Samuel Jr., a talented but risky option. Samuel had neck surgery this offseason, which is a massive concern. Neck and back injuries are often career-altering, and Samuel's limited play last season, only 4 games, doesn't inspire confidence. He was dealing with stinger issues that lingered, and any team considering him would need to be certain he can pass a medical evaluation. The Cowboys could take a flyer on him, but it's a gamble with real downside. Jack Jones is another wild card. He's a player who can look like an all-pro one week and a liability the next. Relying on a volatile player like Jones at corner is a recipe for disaster, as one bad game can sink an entire defense. Kendall Fuller, on the other hand, is a more stable option. He's a versatile piece who can play inside or outside, making him a smart addition for a team like Dallas that needs depth but doesn't want to overhaul its starting lineup. For now, the focus is on what this trade means for the NFL as a whole. The Steelers are doubling down on their defense, pairing Ramsey with T.J. Watt and a talented front seven to create a unit that could be downright scary. The addition of Jonnu Smith also gives their offense a new weapon, which could help balance things out for a team that's been defense-heavy in recent years. For the Dolphins, getting Fitzpatrick back is a coup. He's a proven playmaker who can anchor their secondary and give them flexibility in their defensive schemes. The 5th-round pick is a nice touch, but this deal is all about Minka. As for the rest of the league, this trade could be the spark that ignites a flurry of moves. Teams that were lurking in the Ramsey sweepstakes now have clarity and will likely turn their attention to the free agent market or smaller trades. The cornerback position is suddenly at a premium, and with training camp looming, the pressure is on for teams to solidify their rosters. For the Cowboys, the clock is ticking. Their secondary needs help, and while they weren't in on this blockbuster, they can't afford to sit idly by. Whether it's signing a veteran like Gilmore or exploring a trade, Dallas needs to make a move to shore up its defense. So here's the big question for you, the viewers. Will the Cowboys pull the trigger on a veteran corner before the season starts? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Drop a 1 if you think they'll make a move, or a 0 if you think they'll stand pat. And while you're at it, tell me which corner you'd like to see them pursue, whether it's Gilmore, Hilton, Douglas, or someone else entirely. Maybe you'd rather see them swing a trade for a young, up-and-coming player. Whatever your take, let's get the conversation going. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to stay on top of all the latest NFL news, rumors, and updates, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're just getting started with this offseason, and trust me, things are only going to get crazier from here. Let's keep the conversation going. Drop your thoughts, predictions, and reactions in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.